brews, and banter.
Hey, Frank.
Hey, Roman. I had beer in my mouth.
Oh,
That was good.
shocker.
Yeah.
Welcome back,
You're
Chong.
very courteous.
What's up, guys?
How are you?
Good, good. It's good to be back here.
It's good to be at a news place, right?
Yeah, this is a lot different than the basement.
So I think Chong's the only one that's been in both places,
Chong,
right?
Chong was the
Both locations, not both places.
Yeah. OG of when we first started.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely an awesome upgrade here.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is a nice location. I mean, where we are physically is nice, but also the location as it relates to everything else around us.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is like the heart of Beeville here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
In the heart of Beeville, and we're part of the community. We are part of Baldwinsville, Greater Baldwinsville Chamber of Commerce members. So that's pretty cool. Been meeting some people through there and helping out local businesses. You know, they would come on and do an interview with us. It's fun.
Yeah.
And so you've been on our show a year and a half.
Yeah, I think it might have been the last time we were here. Yeah, about a year and a half.
Year and a
ago.
half.
Yeah.
In, like you said, in the basement. Everybody starts in the basement or a garage, right?
Yeah, yeah. All the great companies start
Yeah,
there.
it sounds much better than your garage band, not like a basement band or a garage podcast. Basement podcast, it doesn't really matter, right?
It doesn't matter. So since then, I think last time you were on, we talked about negative parts of having a beard. His hair ends up everywhere.
It's disgusting.
We talked about fuck you. Your whole farming thing
Yeah.
and how you were involved with that. But you've now ventured on into something not new, but in the new direction.
Yeah, yeah. About a month ago, we opened up a Muay Thai gym on the north side of Syracuse.
SO8.
Yeah.
Science of 8 limbs, correct?
The Science of 8 Limbs.
The only one in Syracuse, right?
Yeah, we're the only Muay Thai gym in Syracuse, and I think we might be the first Muay Thai gym in Syracuse. First full-time Muay Thai.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of jiu-jitsu schools, they have a Muay Thai program. It's kind of like supplemental to the jiu-jitsu program. But that's what we focus on, Muay Thai full-time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the jiu-jitsu schools do that because they need to train on foot as well.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's always the cliche saying, but all your fights start on your feet eventually.
Yeah.
Eventually it ends up on the ground, but it's always on your feet first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And depending on situation.
Yep.
So sometimes if you just one-on-one fight, street fight, depending on, I think, the other person's skill, it might never go to the ground.
Yeah, yeah.
But majority of the time, what I think happens with unskilled fighters is they tend to just bear hug you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and just take you down.
Kind of maul you a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's why two things I always tell my strikers is, like, to be a really good striker, you have to have two things from the grappling world. It's a good sprawl to prevent your takedowns, and a good, very good scrambling, right? You got to get up back to your feet the correct way without getting set up for those chokes or getting your knee or your ankle or your arm broken.
Yeah, like a wide base.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the ability to sprawl and kind of prevent it, best thing in the first place. Right?
Yeah. So how did you find the place?
Actually,
And hold on. Sorry to interrupt you.
okay?
When were you ready to go ahead and open your own place? And how did
So
what are the emotions you went through?
So I was teaching at another school in the area for about 13 years, and it was just time to move on and open my own place. But obviously, I didn't want to jump into it head first yet. Kind of ease my way into it, and I was borrowing some space downtown from a friend of mine's to do some music, record music, and he had another empty room at Sol & Quinn Studios. So we just met at the floors, met at the walls, and I was teaching out of there. And eventually it started becoming 8-9 hours of Muay Thai a day.
Oh, jeez.
So at that point I was like, all right, I think we might have enough students to move into our own place. And looked for about a year. And then a friend of mine's Manera, she's a real estate agent. She had a spot on the north side. And I was like, this would be perfect. We'll still be in the city to kind of give back to that part of town, which I kind of grew up there. And then also just kind of bring something new to the city that's not a bar or
Right.
not a club
Or a pizza shop.
or a pizza shop.
So yeah, it's weird how it's I mean, it makes sense. Just think about it now. But I was always thinking, why does it take so long to find a place? What is the deal? Like, maybe some people are too picky, or maybe there's just not one available. But
Yeah.
I imagine, now that I think about it, some of it's tough because people's leases run up, or whatever the case may be. So I just didn't, I didn't realize until just, because we're drinking beer and it brings a lot of wisdom to you. I didn't realize till just now that's probably what happens. Like, and the leases are up all the time. Like,
Yeah, and
if
then
there's,
there's a weird thing happening in Syracuse right now, and I don't think people realize until they're in the market for a building or a space, is rent is astronomical right now. It is like, I looked at a couple of places on the north side on Salina Street where they're very small hole in the walls, where it's like, I don't mind starting there, and they're asking for like $2,000-$3,000 a
Yeah,
month, and I'm
yeah.
like, they're either preparing for the growth of the city, or they just don't care about having a tenant there yet. And I looked multiple places throughout the city, and it was the same story.
Yeah.
Just like everything was through the roof. And then I found this spot, and it was just like pre-pandemic pricing, and I was
Yeah.
like, I gotta take
Yep.
this. Yeah.
So Roman, between, he's talking about rent, or if you had to retrofit a place or buy a new place. I mean, because the rent's so expensive now, has the other two options also raised really expensive? I mean, I know home prices are expensive, but I'm just talking about buying a commercial space or some sort of space. You buy an acre of land and you put something on it. Is that astronomical too, or is that more feasible sometimes?
Buying would be a good time right now because the prices will continue to go up, just projected. Approach with the rent being so high is a wrong approach because they're not going to future-proof or be prepared that way unless they're lowering their chances of renting.
Yeah.
But if they do a 5-year contract and every year raise 3 to 5%, and to get to that point, that's more realistic, and that will attract more people, more companies to rent.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. It was quite the journey. We took about a year looking around until we found this spot. Yeah.
Well, it's an interesting kind of dynamic there. Like, you can, as you describe it, if it works out that way, you kind of have a relatively affordable rent.
Yep.
You sign this lease for 5 years, and then it's going to go 3 or 5% up. So by the time you get to that 5 years, someone there has either got to decide to renew, or we're able to move on.
Yeah.
So if that person if that person moves on, now the people renting it are probably able to rent it at that current price to someone else, and then go 5% higher every year for that.
Yeah.
But is it cheaper to build? Is it cheaper to buy a piece of land and build now? Or, I mean, I know there's all kinds of parameters, size of land, size of all these things. But
Well, right now with tariffs, I don't know, depending on the price of material.
yeah.
So
It just got paused though, right? The tariffs.
So there's
Well,
there's a 10% no matter what.
Okay.
Yeah.
well, completely, or I thought certain companies that reached out, he gave them 90 days or something.
No, I think the 10% is for everybody, and then the 90-day pause is on what the reciprocal was based on,
Okay.
what they're charging us. But then, those people that reached out all got paused, just not China. I mean, China's up to 145. We're tariffing them 145%. They're tariffing us, I think, 84. So I don't really know what's going to happen there.
Well, yeah. So I mean, building, you can go that way. You get a good deal on the land, depending on the infrastructure of utilities. Down the road, if you want to build. But I know what your dream is.
Yeah. Eventually, we're gonna have our own custom built gym.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
With a stripper pole. You got to put a stripper pole.
Yeah, those will come out at night.
Yeah, Muay Thai / nightclub.
It's for the bags, I swear.
Yeah, some sort of bags.
we wrap them with padding and we do kicking. So I was fortunate enough, and thanks for inviting, to be there for the blessing process, which was really interesting.
Yeah.
You had the monks there, and they did the whole process. I think, was that recorded on...
You put it on Instagram.
Yeah.
But was there like a Channel 9?
Yeah,
or...
the news came out, so I think those videos are floating out there somewhere.
Oh, really?
Well, they're on your YouTube channel, right?
The Instagram.
Instagram, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting experience.
Yeah. I'm sure with this stuff. I mean, in the combat sports world, I mean, first thing people always notice is like obviously the violence, right? That's the one aspect of it. But Muay Thai, the Buddhism's always been a big part of it, and kind of like the spirituality of it, right? And sometimes I feel like you lose that with like modern day martial arts, like MMA, where it's just like, all right, go to gym and
Yeah.
train, and then go beat some.
There's
men.
no tradition or
Yeah, this
connection to history.
yeah, the connection to history or like just that spirituality part of it, right? And then with this, like we try to keep it like how it is in Thailand. You know, it's a little bit more connected to the Buddhism, and that way, I mean, you can come here and kind of feed your body and your soul a little bit. So,
And you feel Muay Thai fighters are more respectful towards one another?
yeah,
Or is there the same drama like MMA?
there. It's I feel like they're starting to become more like MMA because it's starting to sell. It's becoming a bigger business now. But traditionally, Muay Thai fighters don't really talk too much smack. And the thing with Muay Thai is it's such a brutal sport. Like you can talk all the smack you want. Once you're in the ring and you get your head knocked on,
Yeah.
you're gonna be like, all right, maybe I shouldn't talk so much.
And so is MMA.
Yeah,
I really don't like all the shit talking. I get it. It's a show.
I can't stand it either.
It's like how they get viewers. But like now you're turning a respectful sport with respectful different martial arts into like WWE.
Yeah, I mean that's the model that.
Not smacking on W. Those are athletes as well, but they're acting like.
Right.
Yeah.
But this is legit. Like you're getting in the ring to get your ass kicked.
Yeah, and then I think a lot of that stuff also. I mean, it's the machine that what the MMA world is now, right? Sponsorships. You got to sell products. You got to sell fights, and tickets, and then.
Well, and everybody loves drama. Everybody loves
but-
controversy. You know.
And so if you're a good fighter and you can't sell tickets, then they kind of move you away. I mean, not to talk bad about him, but like, kind of reason why I think Demetrius Johnson didn't do so well. He's the greatest MMA fighter of all time, in my opinion, but he just wasn't as big like what would you say like
Flashy
guy
like
or
Deion Sanders and self-promoter.
Yeah, one of those guys. Yeah, so I think that's kind of probably part of the reason why the UFC traded him, and you know. But then he went to a really good promotion too. One is a great, probably one of the best promotions out there, if not the best in my opinion, because those guys they showcase everything.
Who is it? You said
One Championship.
okay.
Yeah, they do everything from Muay Thai, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu to even some boxing fights, and then they have their MMA division and everything.
Where are they?
I think they're based out of either Singapore or somewhere in Thailand. I can't remember.
I was wondering if that's what that's the company I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're bringing a lot of sports over to their part of the country because they have a lot of money.
Yeah, and I don't know.
Same with golf, I think.
And because there'd be no tariffs.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if they're either the biggest or they're second to the UFC, but I think they have the Asia market, which is ginormous. So I think that either is smaller than the US or might be rivaling it right now. So
I had respect for Conor McGregor before.
Yeah.
I was like this young guy,
early Conor,
kicking ass.
Yeah.
But when he became this cocky fucking,
yeah,
like, dude, I get it. You're probably getting a lot of money for this.
yeah.
But I just lost, like, it's just me personally, the way I respect martial arts, all kinds. You know, I don't.
Well, do they do studies on these guys? Like, did he take a lot of punches and kicks to the head that he's just not right, and that's why he became
No, this is all influenced by money. And
Yeah, he was one of the best promoters and also one of the best, I guess you can call it like the mental fight game. Like
Yeah.
he breaks you down before you even get in the ring.
Yeah.
I mean, when he fought Jose Aldo was one of the best featherweight of all time. On paper, there's no way like Conor would beat him, but they put him on like a press tour where they traveled around the world, and every single press or everything they did, Conor would just keep pushing his buttons.
Yeah.
It's like a mental
Yeah,
exhaustion.
but they're probably hanging out having dinner at night.
Yeah.
Like-
and then when they got into the ring or the octagon, I mean, Jose did something he normally never would do. Went in for a big looping hook, and Conor caught him and knocked him out. And it was
That's
like,
what.
it's the craziest thing is like he completely pulled him out of his game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what happens if they put you in this promotion of your fight, and you just get worn down the whole time. You know.
Yeah, when you taken out of your element, Ronda Rousey, she fought a fight in the ring that wasn't her fight.
Yeah.
She tried to be on her feet all the time.
Yeah.
And was it Holly? Was it
Holly?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Holly?
Yeah.
yeah.
Holly tried to keep her on her feet because that's her game.
Yeah. 100%.
And and that's why she lost.
Yeah.
And same with Conor McGregor, or when. So, was it Khabib?
Yep.
Khabib was the one that always kind of kept it down, didn't like the drama,
Yeah.
didn't like the bullshit, right? And then Conor kept trying to push him, and he couldn't. I think he started talking about his family, and that's when he
Yeah.
pressed his button.
Yeah. And then
Who's
throwing things at their bus.
Yeah.
who was the guy? 12, 15 years old. JP, MMA guy, Jean Pierre, maybe.
Oh,
George St.
George St. Pierre.
Yeah, yeah. Because I was thinking him,
Yeah.
but I was thinking KJP, which is the old press secretary lady. So, but yeah, I used to watch him.
Yeah, GSP is phenomenal.
Yep.
He's
That's
a
what I was.
respectful
I was saying.
fighter.
I was thinking GSP, but I was going to say K.
Yeah.
He's a respectful fighter.
Yeah, GSP
Yep.
has always been like at the top. Yeah, I think he learned early on in his career when he started. Like, if you watch any of his old interviews, he talks about how like when he first got the title, he was partying and not really focusing.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he fought Matt Serra clipped him pretty well, and then stopped him, took his title. And then after that, it was just all full focus on everything that he did. Yeah,
I listened to his interview on Rogan. He had an interesting upbringing.
yeah, up in Canada.
Yeah. He's a nice guy.
Yeah, super nice dude. Yeah, yeah, one of the best and one of the best wrestlers to be a non-traditional.
That's why I
wrestler.
took an interest. I was big into wrestling. I did wrestling, scholastic type wrestling for
Gotcha.
20-something years. So that's why I liked him. But
Yeah, he was like non-traditionally like he never came up with. I think came up with the Kyokushin karate or something, and then transitioned into the world of MMA and just became a phenomenal wrestler just from the needs of the.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When you opened your school, and how was the transition from teaching in another school versus now you got your own school open and you got students coming in?
Oh man, it's more hats. Definitely more hats. When you go from just teaching, it's like I don't have to worry about keeping the lights on. I don't worry about buying mats and supplies and all that stuff. I just show up and teach and make sure everybody's doing well, and then that's it. Now you'd be like, all right, I got a budget for this month. I got to make sure I have enough equipment for everybody. What's falling apart? What do I need to get to keep everybody happy, basically? And then, yeah, that's definitely a lot more hats you have to wear.
How's the scheduling coming along with students? Like students signing up?
Yes.
you're getting a lot of new people.
Yeah, we've been growing way faster than I expected, and we've talked about this before. Is like I'm pretty sure we're gonna be out of there within the year or early in the year. And
Is that what your lease is good for?
yeah, I just did a year.
Oh, good for you.
Because like I figured we test the waters.
Yeah.
If it's we still need time to grow, we can stay there, then sign for 4 more years.
Yeah.
If not, we can just start
fantastic.
to look for other places. And just at the current rate, if we keep growing the way we are, we're gonna be completely out of there within.
But now you got to start looking for places now.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right?
We've I've already kind of started looking at places around that same area.
And so another place to move into and rent.
Yeah.
Or another place to move into and own.
I think one more place to rent, and then once we have
Yeah.
the numbers I want, I want to build our final home.
Sure.
So,
Yep.
yeah.
When you set up the system for your students to sign up, is there like you still do the traditional where people come in and pay you, or are you more up to date with technology to make it easier for the students to sign up, follow the schedule, and
Yeah, so back in the when we were teaching out the studio, it was just mom and pop. I was like, "Here's some of my cash for the month." I'm like, "Thank you."
Yep.
And I would never keep track. I would like, "Hey, it's your job to pay me. I don't want to keep track of this because I got a million other things I got to worry about."
Sure.
But now we definitely have to use a machine, or not a machine, the programs to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
and I find it also easier for students to sign up for the class, to be more efficient, miss less classes. Some schools will be like, "Oh, check our schedule on Facebook." I'm like, well, that's not. What if I'm not on Facebook?
Yeah, yeah,
Or what if I don't want to go on Facebook to check the schedule?
yeah.
So I'm happy that more schools are transitioning to these softwares where it makes. We all have phones, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Just right there under your fingers.
Yeah, literally when people set up lessons or classes, they literally go in, select what they want, and jump on in. And then like I try to cap all the classes at 12 people per class just because the current size we have. But that's why we offer 3 hours a night and unlimited classes Monday through Friday.
Are classes an hour long?
Yeah, classes are an hour long.
Yeah.
Do
Okay.
you feel like you're going to be filling up those schedules and expanding it for like almost a full day.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm technically there all day long already. So I get there like 8 in the morning, and then I'm usually there till like 9 at night, anyways.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think most of the classes in the night, I think I'm gonna be expanding it towards earlier, like 3:30, 4:30, and stuff.
I want to touch on some tournament stuff, but we're going to take a really quick ad break, and we'll be right back.
Are you a brewery owner or a business looking to hire? If you want to bring in the best talent to help your team grow, we've got the perfect solution for you. With ZipRecruiter, you can post your job to 100 plus job sites with just one click. Then, their powerful technology efficiently matches the right people to your job better than anyone else. That's why ZipRecruiter is different. Unlike other job sites, ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you, it finds them. In fact, over 80% of jobs posted on ZipRecruiter get a qualified candidate in just 24 hours. No juggling emails or calls to your office. Simply screen, rate, and manage candidates all in one place with ZipRecruiter's easy-to-use dashboard. Find out today why ZipRecruiter has been used by businesses of all sizes to find the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And right now, our listeners can post jobs on ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/podcast. That's ZipRecruiter.com/podcast. And one more time, to try it for free, go to ZipRecruiter.com/podcast.
So, Chong, when before you opened your school, did you have students compete in tournaments?
Yeah. So I had a couple of fighters last fall that fought in some of the local tournament, not tournaments, but competitions. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then those are the same students now in your school.
Yeah, they're still training with me too. Yeah.
And are you going to be not prioritizing but encouraging students to do tournaments?
So everybody has different goals, and I'll definitely I'll put the option out there for people to fight, but you don't have to fight. It's a beautiful thing about this this field is there's so many options to do to chase a career in this field or to just meet you at wherever your goals that you're trying to achieve. People come in here for the workout because it's a phenomenal workout. Some people are training to be fighters. Some people want to learn how to hold mitts, become coaches, and all that stuff. And just, especially with the way the sport's growing, I think we have a need for coaches and people that understand the game, so we can grow the community instead of just kind of like being little islands and trying to keep secrets to yourself. Like this day and age, there's really no secrets anymore, right? Everything you need to know is online. The only difference now is that finding people that can actually help you apply it in real life.
Yeah. Sorry, Roman. Do some outfits require you to fight? Like you have to, if you're at a place or you have a membership, they require you?
No.
Okay.
No, there's no requirement. There's just some when we had Ben Tellini on here, he was encouraging his students to compete. And part of it is they get to test themselves if that's what they're looking for. Another part is his school's name gets to go, be out there.
But no problem if not.
Yeah. No, I was wondering because I like that sport, that art so much. It's not out enough, I feel like. I think it doesn't get the publicity it deserves. So the more competition, maybe that sends that signal out,
Yeah, and I think the more we grow the community, the more people understand that hey, there's an opportunity to compete here. Because I think a lot of time people we have to travel like New York City, Jersey, Buffalo, kind of out of the Syracuse area. There's a couple promotions one big promotion here in Syracuse, but obviously, how many fights can they put on a year? You know?
Right. You got to do a little travel.
Yeah, do a little travel.
But another one you mentioned is teaching.
Yeah.
I think that's when I get to teach, I'm so happy.
Yeah.
Like if I get to take my knowledge that I've learned over 20 some years and teach somebody a little bit of that and slowly, it brings me joy. Like it puts a smile on my face.
Yeah, I people don't realize how satisfying it is to be able to coach. When I started this about 16 years ago, there's so many people getting ready for fights, and I was like, I'll just hold mitts for you. I'll help you hold a year camp by holding mitts for you, and I just fell in love with it. Just kind of try to master the art of mitt holding, and then from there I just evolved. I'm like, okay, how can I start coaching with this? And then after that, I was like, all right, where can I travel to learn and grab new ideas and new systems and bring it back to the students? And from there, it just kind of took on a life of its own.
Yeah. So you go to Thailand?
Yep, we go to Thailand to train. California's a big place. Every time I'm out there, I'm always training with a bunch of different schools out there.
How often do you go to Thailand?
The last gym that I was at, we were trying to take the students once a year. Yeah,
Once a year.
I'm gonna try to keep the same tradition for here too. So,
Okay.
the next trip we're aiming for is October. To take the students there. Yeah, yeah. There's nothing like training in Thailand. It is just the epicenter of striking, right?
So how do you arrange this? They obviously pay for their own tickets and all that stuff.
So a nice thing about going to train in Thailand is it's become such a big market there that the gyms, they just have like dorms you could stay at, and you can stay there as long as you want. You can literally live there and train as many times as you want a day.
Like sort of like an on-site thing.
Yeah. They have little accommodations for you there, and like most gyms are kind of set up that way now too. Yeah,
And you arrange that. You contact these gyms and you're like, hey, I'm Science of Eight Limbs. I have number of students. We're traveling to Thailand for training.
yeah, we'll do that. We'll contact the gyms and become friends with some of these gyms. And Toddy's was the big gym that we were associated with at the last school that I was in.
That's excellent. So, but you've been doing this 20 years, and I can still kick your ass.
I know.
Right? That's fucking
I
weird.
fucked up somewhere. More than 20 years. I think it's like 28 years.
Really, almost 30 years you've been doing? No. Really?
Not one specific art,
Oh.
but I've been doing martial arts
Yeah.
for 28 years.
Now, do they have, or is there anything out there that will be a tournament of some sort that mixes jiu-jitsu versus Muay Thai? Like, is there something like you could do that?
So the idea of that is just basically MMA, right?
MMA.
So back in
Okay.
the heydays of MMA, it was basically style versus style, but now it's like people have gotten smart enough to integrate them to each other. And I always say the same thing about, because I kind of don't like that question sometimes when people ask what's better, jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai, or wrestling
Right,
or
right,
jiu-jitsu,
yeah.
or because it's like Muay Thai, if somebody takes you to the ground, I mean, it neutralizes a lot of your striking, right? So there is a little bit of grappling in Muay Thai with the stand-up grappling, with the clinch work and all that stuff. But the same thing when you hit the ground, it's like if somebody can punch you in the face or drop an elbow across your chin, it's gonna start to neutralize your jiu-jitsu game a little bit, right? So it's good to have both, right? And
Well, even the Greco-Roman piece of wrestling is going to be on your feet. So,
yeah,
any kind of, there's freestyle Greco-Roman, there's all these scholastic, all these things. So,
yeah, if somebody's suplexing the whole time,
Right,
it's
right.
not gonna feel good in your head.
yeah.
I think that they don't allow Greco-Roman wrestling in schools.
They do not,
That's
but
so
they
crazy.
That's what I
but
studied.
they do it in the Olympics.
Yeah, Greco and freestyle and all
That's
that
right,
stuff. Yeah. That, I mean, back in the day, I mean, the whole idea of the word "no holds bar."
Yeah.
You could punch people, you could submit people, and even boxing back in the day, there was a little bit less rule sets back in the day. There is a little bit of almost like takedowns, and every time you hit the ground, there was a new round
Yeah.
started. So rounds could go up to like 99 rounds per fight. And
Oh, Jesus.
yeah, it was crazy. Yeah. It's quite the history. I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of like we're just going back full circle, you know.
But I don't know how many people know this. Jiu-jitsu actually is from Japan.
Yeah.
The great is a Gracie family, right?
Yeah,
They-
Maeda came over from Japan, brought it to the
Yeah,
Gracie family.
and they made it popular. That's why you hear so much Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
It originally came from Japan. Samurais used it for ground combat.
Where's the Brazilian piece come in?
Great. What's the family last
Gracie.
name? Gracie.
Yeah.
Gracie last name.
Yeah.
They made it popular. They-
Well, I mean, when I hear it, because I'm not in this world, right? I just thought there's something influenced from Brazil.
Right. The Gracie family in Brazil
I
learned.
thought the Gracies were in U.S.
They originally came from Brazil. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's just their history. I don't follow it like
Yeah.
you guys do.
The
'cause-
jiu-jitsu was brought to Brazil to the Gracie family, and then the Gracie family took it, and they
Modified it.
modified it.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I see.
and that's why Brazilian jiu-jitsu is so popular.
Yeah.
But it comes from Japan originally,
Okay.
Yeah.
and it has strikes. So I forgot the pronunciations of these Japanese
It's all good.
styles, but there's a jiu-jitsu with strikes.
Yeah. There's I just saw this quote a couple weeks ago. It was funny. I can't remember who said it, but he said that jiu-jitsu used to be a lot more simpler when you could punch somebody in the face. It's like, it's true, right?
Yeah.
Like the real sets allows a lot of people to do a lot more fancier techniques, and then back in the day, if somebody can boot you in the face, you don't want to be rolling on your back.
That's like a Mike Tyson quote. Everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the face.
Yeah.
Well, I think the reason why it was modified and Gracie family did that is so that the popularity of the sport could grow, because now you can compete in the sport, right?
Yeah.
And there's no strikes, not being punched in the face. Just like Greco wrestling.
Yeah.
has been taken out of a lot of like schools,
Yeah.
so that wrestling can be. You don't want to throw people, break their backs, and snap their necks by accident, right? Especially
Well, you
like,
can still have throws in Scholastic. Like when I was growing up, there was never any. I mean, I don't know where you're referencing, but there was no freestyle or Greco when
the
I was in school at all.
Greco style is not allowed in school when I was in schools here in U.S.
Yeah, it wasn't allowed in schools
Because-
when I was in school, which is 10 or 12 years before you. I mean, ever. I don't ever remember.
I think it's because of the style of Greco wrestling is just much harder on the body.
Well, and you know, I suppose you need to be somewhat mature to absorb these kind of.
That's what I'm saying.
throws,
Like
right.
for kids to do that to each other, they
freestyle. I don't understand that because freestyle's a lot of legs.
Yeah,
you know.
and then there's folk style too, right? That's
Yep,
kinda
yep.
A lot more throwing.
Yeah.
So talking about like traditional things, I'm wondering how different are competitions in U.S. versus competitions in Thailand.
I think the first
turn the
oh, yeah,
mic?
sorry. The first big main thing I think I can kind of spot the difference in the two is that there's a lot more competition in Thailand, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's fights like every day, and that's another great thing about Muay Thai is it's just battle tested, every single day. Something doesn't work well, most of gyms are probably like, get that out of here. You know, that technique doesn't work well, and then you get people from around the world that just all move there. And they train, they bring their whole idea and their whole philosophy of striking, and it just pushes the bar so much more higher.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the time you realize the best strikers all come from there, right? And then you always get people asking, so why don't they fight in the UFC? It was like, it's two different sports, you know?
Yeah.
One's just pure striking, and one is mixing everything, you know?
Well, also MMA, UFC, they have.
Yeah. So is there a
rules.
difference? That's my question. Is there a difference? Sorry, between UFC and MMA.
I think it's just different brands, right?
UFC and MMA.
Yeah.
MMA is
What's it like? AFL, NFC, AFC.
MMA
whatever?
is a style like
yeah,
mixed martial
MMA
arts.
is mixed martial arts.
UFC is
It's the company,
yeah.
Okay. All right.
It's always a joke. Everybody goes like, "Yeah, I train UFC."
No, I mean, I watch this stuff, but I'm just not in that world like you guys. So I was just getting clarification for me and the other people.
I would
or
say
you.
MMA is like Muay Thai, wrestling,
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu, MMA.
Yeah, it's a culmination of everything.
Yeah.
I was in the UFC. Yeah.
And
I see- I
UFC
see,
is,
yeah.
is a brand.
I got it. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, the biggest brand in the world, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. So in sparring, fighting, competing in Thailand, do you find rules there are different versus in US?
So the sparring in Thailand, and it's great now that this is becoming more popularized, is that we don't train for knockouts and to hurt your partners. We don't spar hard, right? Because you got to keep your brain intact, right? Your gray matter doesn't grow.
But in like a tournament.
Oh, in a tournament? No. But most of the rule sets are all pretty
Same.
universal now. Yeah.
Do they also wear boxing gloves?
Yeah, so in Muay Thai, you can have a choice between either the old style, the karchuk, the hemp ropes, MMA gloves, which is open palms, a little easier for grappling, or you go traditional boxing. Right?
How about headgear? Yeah.
Headgear, yeah, for the amateurs, they use headgear, shin guards, elbow guards, and all that stuff, elbow pads and all.
Elbow guards too.
Yeah. Elbows are just very nasty.
Yeah.
Just
Oh yeah.
slice you open all.
So in US, and I've never seen it. That's why I'm asking. In US competitions, tournaments, you're allowed to elbow strike.
Depending. Yeah. So if you're doing full rules amateur, you can throw elbows, but you have to have elbow pads on. Yeah, and then if you're doing full rules Muay Thai, yeah, you can take everything off, headgear, shin guards, all that stuff. Yeah, there's
How often do those go on?
they're actually getting a lot more popular now. I think you see a lot more like MMA promotions doing Muay Thai in the cage now because people hear me say this all the time. If you watch an MMA fight and you take away all the ground game, you're basically just watching a Muay Thai fight.
Yeah.
Majority of those techniques, they've come to realize that Muay Thai elbows are probably your most practical use. Their kicks, their knees, their clinch work, just the ability to control hands and all that stuff. It's a lot more practical.
Are there any elbow strikes that are not allowed in MMA?
So one I think just got overturned was the 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock downward elbow,
Okay.
and then I think that one just got overturned. So I think
So
those
that's
are legal.
allowed?
Yeah.
Like an elbow drop type of thing.
Yeah, basically like how karate guys used to break bricks and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are you allowed to throw elbows when the opponent's on the ground
And Muay Thai.
in MMA?
Oh yeah. Ground and pound with elbows. It's all
Okay.
good. Yeah.
because that will go through the block, man.
Oh man, it is. It's a scary thing because
It's harder to punch through the block, I feel like, than to sneak the elbow right between.
yeah.
My opinion.
I tell my students all the time, it's like one of my favorite strikes, but the one I never want to get hit with. Because with your elbows, you can be either a knife point or a blunt object, depending what part of your elbow you're striking with.
Yeah.
So you can either slash somebody across the forehead and they're just gushing every day, or across the eyebrow or chin or nose, and they're just nonstop bleeding, right?
Yep.
And then if you go further down your elbow away from the point, it's a big blunt object, right? And my law enforcement guys and anybody that works with their hands for a living, I always tell them the same thing. If you're close enough to use your elbows, use your elbows.
Yeah.
Because your hand has all these tiny little bones. You're going to break your hand all the
Yeah.
time, right?
Yeah.
Hands are originally, not really designed for throwing punches, right?
Yeah.
Pushing, pulling, carrying objects, using tools. Along the way, somebody was just like, hey, I got an object. Let me just smash it in your head as hard as I can.
People don't understand how easy to break your hand in the fight.
Yeah. Once you break the integrity of your knuckles have been broken, you're guaranteed to break it again for the rest of your life.
In Kali, there's techniques to specifically break your wrist from you throwing a punch.
Yeah.
And what do we use? Elbow for that.
Elbow's
So
such a nasty.
You parry a punch into an elbow strike.
Yeah.
And that's how you break someone's hand. That's eliminated.
Yeah, and it's the easiest thing. Go from punches into elbows. They're in the same limb. They just
So
transition.
if you're a surgeon, save your hands. Use your elbows. And go to SO8.
Yeah. Actually, it's funny. I just had a new student start with me a month ago. His name is Saeed. He's a hand surgeon. And we talk about this stuff all the time.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Put boxing gloves here. Just tie his hands.
Yeah. And I say the same thing to my law enforcement guys or my first responders, right? If you're you're on a scene or a call and you have to use physical force, you have to go hands on. You break your hands and you have to transition to something else, and you can't grip into your taser, you can't grip into your pepper spray, your spray, or whatever it is you got to use next. It's gonna be a long night.
Yeah, it's like for us to be functional humans, we need our hands, we need our thumbs, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, they help, yeah.
But I wanted to bring up the first responders and how they get affected by studying martial arts. We're just going to take a really quick break, and we'll be right back. All right, so how many first responders from different types of fields do you have as students?
Man, I've lost track, but I have everybody from law enforcement to EMTs to firefighters. They all train over there with me, and it's to me because former EMS and former custody deputy, I just see how beneficial this is for that field, because it's just so important to do a lot of the stuff that we do naturally in Muay Thai and striking in general can be translated into those fields without being offensive, right? All defensive systems that we use can apply to all these all the first responders very well. I tell my law enforcement guys all the time, it's like we said earlier, it's a cliche saying, it's like all your fights start on your feet, all your calls start on your feet, right? You 100% you need jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is the other side of the coin, but the other side is the striking, the stand-up aspect, right?
Yeah, I think the study was like 86% of physical altercations with police officers end up on the ground.
Yeah.
But you start on your feet.
You start on your feet. And I tell people all the time, you could be a jiu-jitsu black belt. If somebody clips you on your chin and you don't know where up is, down is, and you can't stay on your feet, your jiu-jitsu better be on point at that point, right?
Yeah, recovery.
Your recovery, yeah. And then that's why also I tell people all the time, if you don't have a good ground game, you better have a good sprawl and good scramble. Get back up to your feet, or prevent the takedown.
That's why I started taking jiu-jitsu. I'm like, that's where I'm lacking. I was like, I can do okay on my feet, but like if I get taken to the ground, like I got wrestling. I have wrestling, little wrestling in my background, but nowadays when everybody goes to schools and take jiu-jitsu, I'm like, I don't want to be disadvantaged.
Yeah.
So that's why I got into jiu-jitsu as well.
And everything on the ground is fine. It's just not on bottom. You do not want to be on bottom.
Well, I don't know. I mean, in jiu-jitsu, you
you're
could
getting
be
the shit pounded out of you, buddy.
No, I mean, if you know what you're doing in jiu-jitsu.
But if you're on the bottom and you're just covering your head, then the rest of your body's open. Because otherwise, it was going to punch you in the head.
In sports jiu-jitsu, you'll be you're 100% be fine in the bottom. I mean, some people
Yeah.
are playing the bottom game more.
And what kind of jiu-jitsu?
Sports jiu-jitsu.
Oh.
Sports, yeah.
Competition.
But like in real life stuff, I mean, I don't want to talk too much because it's not my expertise.
Yeah.
But I can only imagine if you're being on the ground on the bottom, that those punches and those elbows start raining down on you.
Yeah.
It might
Yeah.
change the game quite a bit.
Yeah. That's the business end for sure. Right?
The one thing we studied in Kali is because Kali has a ground combat training as well called Dumang, and we always say, in self-defense, do you want to be on the ground? You don't know what's there. There could be a curb,
Yeah.
rocks, I don't know, broken glass.
Yeah.
Do you want to end up on the ground? Not really. But
Yeah.
if you do, like, you still need to have a defense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you don't know who's gonna step in. Their friends are watching. They're losing. Also,
Right.
like,
That's another thing.
Yeah,
You're
'cause you can't
defending
see-
yourself against the guy on top of you, and his friend comes over and smacks you, kicks you right in the head.
yeah, yeah,
And that's the tough part where that's where I separate certain arts where there's competition art and there's survival art.
yeah,
And I don't think they can be the same. I cannot compete in the survival art. Because how do you compete in the survival art if I'm trained to gouge your eye out, slice your esophagus with a blade, and break your arm and escape? Like, how do you compete in that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I feel like those have to be separate.
yeah. And then the whole weapons thing is a whole different world too. That's another place. Like I always tell people how scary knives are. Knives are probably a little bit more scary than guns are, or more effective because your ability to clear distance and stab somebody multiple times before they pull their gun out, put it on point, and then fire a few rounds off on you.
Yeah.
Even when you fire a few rounds, I mean, they still have enough adrenaline.
Especially if you're stabbing them in the draw arm.
Yeah. It's like a stone needle. It's going
Even
in
if
and out.
even if you take the gun part out of it, I did this seminar in Rochester, and there were different instructors from different schools, so we trained knife combat, realistic knife combat,
Yeah.
right? So we did this exercise where we took these like dummy knives. They're not real knife, like it's a paper fold in half and on your pocket,
Yeah.
and you're going against a partner. Everybody there is trained
Yeah.
martial artists. And when they say go, you have to take the knife out, unfold it, and slice or stab,
Yeah.
right? 100% of people did not accomplish that. The first thing was everyone's mind, defend from them pulling the knife out.
Yeah.
That was the 100% response from every martial art instructor, student that was there. Nobody went for a knife. They tried later,
Yeah.
but the first attempt was secure, catch their arm, not to reach for the knife.
Yeah.
And
Because he knew it was coming.
you knew that was coming.
Right.
So there's a psychological aspect of that. When I train with plastic knives, they're black nylon, right? When I train with aluminum knife, it changes the psychology in your head because it's a metal, shiny thing that is closer to reality, even though it's dull.
Yeah.
You can't cut paper with it. But the material it's made of, it changes the psychology in your head. You are more careful with blocks, with defense, not to get sliced. And in every knife fight, you're gonna get cut.
Yeah,
I always say,
I tell people there is no 100% technique that's going to prevent you from getting stabbed. You're going to get cut.
yeah,
And I remember in the law enforcement academy that I was in, we trained with the shock knives. And it's just like it's a taser built into the knife. And I remember running through those drills and just hearing the knife clicking like a taser.
Right.
And just having it driven into you and just having that area kind of seize up.
yeah.
It just wasn't a good feeling.
It's an interesting.
But a great game to play when you're hammered. with your
It's
buddy.
an interesting tool to use. I also like using chalk knives. Have you seen those?
So is that when you put chalk in the knife? Yeah. So some of the instructors, they used to use the old knives, plastic knife, and they put lipstick on it. So by the time you're done with your drill, if you're covered in lipstick, like you're being cut.
Yep.
So with the taser, does that one have to have skin contact or no?
So we were feeling it through our shirt.
I
So,
yeah.
Through your shirt?
Yeah.
Okay. Because with the chalk one, I like seeing the results later
Yeah.
because you see all these slices.
Yeah, it's not a fun thing, man. It's
Yeah.
knives are way more scary than people think, and then like everybody watches on the TV and they're like, just shoot them. Like, it's not that easy, you know.
Yeah.
Same thing like in the Monday morning quarterbackers. Why don't you just shoot them in the hand? Like it's not a Hollywood movie.
It's not,
Well, people have a hard time shooting at that door sometimes. I mean, like it's not. I mean, a gun off. You know, you pointing something, your gun off by, you know,
Eighth of an inch.
yeah, eighth or 16th of an inch, 20 feet away. You're hitting your neighbor.
Like, and at the same time, people. That's why I tell people all the time: if you're going to get a gun, you have to practice. You have to sit and collect dust, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with a gun, I mean, when you're nervous, how many nervous people are going to be able to have that control where their hands not shaking? They're going to be able to put it on point, perfect trigger control,
That's right.
all that stuff. You're going to be firing left and right. Guns going to be going off everywhere.
You get tense, you do this.
Yeah, and then they're just going to be trigger happy, just trying to unload that round. And anybody's around or on the other side, it's just like all the basic rule sets. You're gonna be responsible for that round that hits your neighbor. You know,
discipline.
And you're probably guaranteed never to hit your target.
Yeah, 100%.
with even one hand.
Yeah.
You know, with a knife, you're not shaking and you still have another hand.
Yeah.
You know, with a gun, you're typically going to hold with two. If you try with one, you're most likely not going to hit what you're trying.
Yeah. And I think one of the big things with people too is like the initial shock, right? Like, oh shit, does he have a knife in his hand right now? Oh crap, what do I do, right? And like, how many people actually can practice that initial shock, right? That break, like he's got a knife, you got to do something. Most people freeze, right? That OODA loop. They start to run the process through their head, and they're still just staring at this knife, and they're not reacting to it.
What would you call it? OODA loop? That's what it's called?
OODA loop, yeah. So
That's,
OODA loop
that's
was,
where you process the situation?
yeah. So OODA loop was I think it was an airman, or I can't remember his name, but I'm just generalizing now. But I think it was during the Vietnam War. He was studying why some soldiers were going to the field and they were dying, and some were making it back, and he basically watered it down to this acronym called OODA loop. And OODA loop, it's really cool because OODA loop translates into the fight world too. OODA loop was an acronym that stands for observe your threat, orient yourself towards the threat, make a decision, and you got to act on it, right?
Okay.
So during this OODA loop, a lot of people would freeze, or they would just have bad OODA loops, right? So if you're going in the field and you go, somebody's shooting at me, where's it coming from? You get hit, you're dead, right? Some people are like, oh, they're shooting from that way, so orient yourself towards it. Now I got to make a decision. Do I shoot back or do I go get cover? Some people are like, let me shoot back, and then they get hit and they die. The other people are like, oh, get cover first, and then we can return. And then they were making it back.
So focusing on that, is that OODA loop, is that ability something you're born with, something you can develop, or something?
Both. Some people just have a natural ability to process what's going on.
And there's some people that will just never be able to?
They're like, oh, somebody's shooting at me. Where is it?
Okay,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm dead, right?
Yeah.
And then in the fight world, it's
Interesting.
basically just call a fight IQ, right? Because in the fight, if you're in the middle of a fight, I'm already oriented towards you. I know you're my threat. Now I got to make my decisions and I got to act. You throw a jab at me. What are my options with this jab? Do I step back? Do I slip? Do I just eat it and then return something, right?
I find that with students who have how fast they counter. So if they take blows then counter, I feel like that it's a slow response. It's a slow response because of the process. They're processing information.
Their OODA loop or their fight IQ is a lot slower. A lot
where
less.
you find more experienced fighters.
Is lightning fast.
They know what part of your body to look at to see what's about to come, right? Like there are good fighters who can look at your footwork. I always say, don't telegraph your move. I see it coming. Don't do this. Don't do that. But in immediate threat, so there's like immediate threat shock, and there's like, so immediate threat is danger towards you immediately.
Yeah.
Where a non-immediate threat is something happened in the building down there, you hear a bang, and it's like,
or you're watching a fight that happens or something,
and it's like there's a moment of shock. How soon do you snap out of it? Are you immediately starting looking for exits, or are you processing on if threat comes in, what am I doing?
Yeah, and the environment changes a lot of things too. Like I remember first time I ever did when I was an EMT. First time I ever did a call on a highway. I was like, on 81, I was like, we drive this highway all the time. But to be out of the ambulance and walking on the highway, I'm like, holy crap, I'm on the highway right now. Yeah. And then you have to realize, oh crap, that car's cut in half. You got to go up there real quick. Yeah. So those environment, the threats, everything, like the only way to get over those things is through experience, right? Through experience. And then once you get past that, you realize all right, it's not so new, it's not such a shock anymore. If something happens, you got to work. You got to get to work right away.
And for the ladies and men out there, I suffer from a huge amount of OODA loop. I think
Every time he sees me.
my OODA loop is overactive for sure.
Yeah.
Because we joke about it, but for sure I'm always wherever I go, and you do. I know you do. You go somewhere, you're just kind of looking around. Like you ever watch like one of the Bourne movies, whatever. There's fucking 20 of these fucking things.
Yeah.
But when he's sitting there and he's talking to some lady, and she's like, and he's like, he says whatever the conversation is. Well, for instance, that guy over there, he's doing this, he's got this on, but he's like kind of like maybe that's real life for people in that kind of arena. But like I always like I want to if I got to get out, I'm going here.
Yeah.
And if this happens, this is what I'm gonna do. Like I pre-OODA.
Yeah.
It's
called-
I POODA loop.
It's called situation awareness.
Yeah.
So
And I hate doing it, but I do it, and I'm gonna keep doing it. Yeah.
I do it subconsciously.
Yeah,
And
people that have been in those fields or have been through situations, they automatically their brain switches that.
Yeah.
Right? You see a lot of law enforcement guys all the time. Like I want to sit with my back.
You're facing the
wall,
door. Yeah.
so I can see the doors and see who's coming through. And then like I have a bad habit like holding eye contact sometimes. And
You're doing what you said?
holding eye contact with people.
Yeah.
And then I'll look at them, and then something will pull my attention. I'll be right back, and it almost looks like I'm losing attention, but I'm like, no, I'll just gotta check over here real quick.
Yeah.
I try to.
Why is that a bad habit though?
It's not bad. It's just sometimes whoever you're talking to, like, you paying attention.
Yeah.
Like
I try to pay attention.
Same. I do the same thing.
I try to pay attention to the person I'm talking to, but at the same time process what's happening without trying to take my eyes off of that person. There's situations like on the street. If I'm walking on the sidewalk, I like to keep my wife on left side. So if the threat comes in from around the corner, I'm there.
So you mean towards the road?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, just create a buffer zone between you.
Yeah.
Well, because the left side could be either way, depending on the direction you're going.
I'm on the side where the building, the corner.
If there's an alley or some bullshit, right.
I walk into, so I do this, I'm not in law enforcement, but in the restaurants or anywhere we go sit down, I like to face where the danger might come from.
The exit
Same.
points and the danger.
It's just naturally, I don't know, just maybe from training for so long.
And I don't mind doing that. It's just something that we're always mindful of doing, just.
My wife, we walked into a Walmart one time and there were these two guys, loud. They were either screaming at somebody, and my wife can tell by my face. She's like, how many scenarios have you run through your head already? I was like, few.
Yeah.
Let's go this way. But it's weird for some people. It's weird because it's not normal.
But the more you do it, it's just now just like breathing. I mean, just like practicing Muay Thai. Like you get this muscle memory, and you get this sort of repetition, and that's what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's also why it's hard for a lot of people when they get into this field at first, because like how many times do you get to practice that? So when you're trying to develop it from the ground up, it's
But one time is well worth everything.
You familiar with Alice program?
no.
So I took this Alice program training, and this is what they used. I think LA police force, and then New York City as well. So in case there's a mass shooter inside the building or whatever, and it's a program they teach how to properly prepare and defend in those situations.
Run, hide, fight.
So we talked about this shock process. Boom, you hear gunshots in the building. Oh shit, what's going on? Some people are going to be in shock and they're going through all these feelings. Some people will snap out of it quick, but everybody will have the moment of shock.
Yeah.
And then whoever snaps out first needs to create a plan for others what
That's
to do.
super OODA. That's that guy's super OODA.
Yeah, and we evaluated Virginia Tech shooting and why that teacher who had military background organized and they fought back.
Yeah.
So it shows you the result of fighting back versus not fight. The fatalities are greater if you don't do anything. So it was an interesting program to take, and I've learned a good bit from it.
Yeah.
And when I was in the fire department, we didn't have enough EMT, so I took EMT course. And one of the paramedics that came in was a guest speaker, has a lot of years of martial arts experience. But he said tunnel vision in people who are first responders, tunnel vision is like an enemy.
Yep.
Yeah.
He goes, with all the training I have in martial arts, I was focused on the call of someone overdosing, and I walked, and he's like, if it wasn't for my partner there, I probably would be dead. But he's like, my focus was, where's the patient? And as he's going towards the patient, this guy who is scared because he's there on his watch, someone overdosed, and he was probably on drugs, and this guy just clotheslined him and knocked the lights out of him.
Oh man.
And if it wasn't for his partner, he was about to jump on him, and she kicked him, hard, and picked him up, snapped him out of it, and then so I think there's now might be protocols where there's a domestic dispute, drug overdose. The police or state troopers will go to the scene first to make sure it's safe before paramedics come in.
Yeah, I mean, back in the day when there's enough staffing, that was the key ideal thing to do.
Yeah.
But this day and age, I mean, there's not enough police officers going around, so sometimes you have to go on that scene, even though technically you don't have to go if you don't want, because as an EMS, the first thing you have to say is the scene safe, right? If it's not safe, don't go in. If you become another victim or another patient, what's the point of that? You know. So it's always like, is the scene safe? No, don't go in.
Yeah.
No matter how much they want to come yell at you, if they're like, I'm not turning into another patient.
Yeah, you can call, see if
Talk to my boss
backup will
later.
show up. Yeah,
Right.
but that's why I think Muay Thai is good. It's not when people say, "Oh, first responders should learn martial arts." I think by default most people think police,
Yeah.
but in reality, it could be for firefighters. It could be for EMTs.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, one of the things you develop when you start sparring with people and you start to do all these types of live drills is you start to be able to read body language. You start to be able to read distance, and you know how to control distance. You know how to create distance, right? So if I'm on scene and this patient's freaking out on me and all of a sudden they start charging me, do you know how to move backwards properly, or are you going to trip and fall?
Yeah, be aware of what's behind you.
Yeah, or do you know how to create space, or do you know how to even protect the most essential parts of your head, your chin, and the temple, and all that stuff? If you can't protect that, and he's just swinging at you, or she's just swinging at you, it's gonna be a long night for you, right? Because at that point, you better stay conscious enough to 50 out, which is call for help. You know? So like your ability to read body language is such a huge piece. Like, where's that strike coming from? Or is he just flailing his hands? Do I need to just cover up my chin? Or, crap, my footwork's in a bad place. If I need to get out of here fast, I'm going to be tripping over my feet, you know?
And this is not limited to people with this profession as a first responder. You could be a first responder if you're a civilian first responding to something. So it's not limited to a profession.
You could be a civilian who's assisting a first responder as well. So I'm sorry.
No, you're...
In medical situation or in for like police force, if you're trained in martial arts, I think the outcome is less lethal.
Yeah.
So you know how to restrain someone without hurting them.
Yeah.
It's safer for both parties.
Or getting hurt, right?
Yeah, I remember during the spike epidemic in Syracuse, I remember using my knee on hips to control people on the stretcher all the time that were high in spike. And depending on what batch was in town, the spike patients would be violent. They'd be just grabbing at you, trying to bite you and all that stuff. Or they'd be completely, like out of it. And depending on what was in town, like, all right, what's going to happen in this call when we get there? And I just remember getting them on the stretcher and having them freak out and just having to drive my knee across their hips to help control them on the stretchers, hold them down long enough for my partner and to get like the Versed or whatever they need to do to knock them out. And then we'd take them to the hospitals after that. But I mean, I can only imagine if people weren't trained, how much more violent it gets in the back of the rig. And a lot of that stuff doesn't get reported.
Is any of this hip training part of what you do for Muay Thai? Like, because in wrestling, I bring it up, your hips lower than their hips, you're going to win on a throw.
Yeah.
On a throw.
Yeah. Hips are such an important thing. Like hips, I tell people all the time, that's where your power comes from. That's where a lot of your mobility is going to be coming from. Because like it all connects, obviously, the closest piece of your legs. Your legs are the most important thing you do in all of striking. Because that's where your balance is starting from. That's where your movement's starting from. So being able to control that part of the body, it's very important.
And where the head goes, they go.
Yep, 100%. That's why in the Muay Thai clinch, we always try to break their posture by controlling the crown of their head or their neck and just breaking it down as best as we can. Because once you control them at that point, you can move them around easily. Right. And then, well, obviously, nice thing in Muay Thai is like if they're giving you resistance, you can throw knees and elbows and strikes like that.
Really quick break, and then we'll come back to wrap it up. Okay, so Chong, you said you're growing fast, and you seeing yourself possibly moving into a new space.
Yeah.
He's not seeing it; he's manifesting it right now. Right.
Yeah.
Right now, you still taking new students?
Yeah, we're taking current new students right now. Once once we hit that threshold, I'm definitely gonna have to have a little talk with everyone about moving to different classes. You know, like the 330, 430 new classes that I might be offering.
Yeah, and are you working towards somebody, maybe some senior students, to take over some of that stress of teaching?
Yeah, I have a couple of students right now. Oh, I don't even call them students. There's my peers. They're Greek coaches, former national Muay Thai champions.
Perfect.
I've already talked to them about coming in and helping me teach and train and stuff. So, yeah, we'll be having those guys on board soon too.
And any current students that are at the level you feel like you can maybe give them a class to teach?
we have
As an employee, is there a dog?
No, like already a student of yours.
Yeah, we've had,
taking
I've had some
that
people
role.
that have trained with me for a long time. Those guys are definitely if I ask and they say yes, I would definitely have them 100% to teach. And then we have guys hopefully this summer beginning in the ring too. So
Okay.
yeah.
Well, it's nice because we went to the opening, for you, and you can see everybody that showed up. There's a ton of people, really.
Yeah.
But it's really sort of a unique little sub family.
Yeah.
But I think everybody's going to support you, whether you go somewhere else or whatever's going to happen.
Yeah, I love our community right now. We have such an amazing community. When I first moved to the studio, I was teaching. It was just a lot of first responders, and it was just like massive amounts of first responders that started training with me. And then I had the weird influx of just all women for like the summer. It was all women, and I was like, keep coming in.
Welcome for sure.
Yeah, nurses and all women, that type of women, and then all of a sudden it was all ADAs started training with me, and then after the ADAs it was all barbers that came in.
It's like waves of.
Yeah, it was all barbers. And now,
Barbers?
Yeah, and now this last month I've had the biggest influx of physics students.
Yeah.
It's so funny because like they'll come in class and we'll be talking about techniques, and they go, "Oh, that's the force formula.
Yeah.
Force, mass, and acceleration."
I got to use the
They're doing
fulcrum.
mathematics in their
it's
heads.
clicking in their head. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like these new group of students are amazing. I'm just super happy with the community that we have. We don't have anybody in there that's there to cause trouble. Everybody's there to learn and to grow and just build this community.
And then when you sort of filter it and distill it down, now you've got this kind of core group of everybody from everywhere.
yeah.
And all kinds of sort of aspects.
It was nice to meet your students. Everybody has positive energy. Everybody was like nice, even though they never met us, and they're just friendly. And
nicest people in the world.
I like that.
And then at the same time, I'm like reaching out to all the other gyms in the area too, see how we can work together. Because like we've talked about this before, like I want the striking community in Syracuse to be different, right? I don't want to be Syracuse gyms versus Syracuse gyms.
Yeah.
I want to be Syracuse gyms versus the world, right? So the only way to grow this is to work with other people, and I'm already started working with a couple other coaches from different gyms. Like, hey, bring your guys over if they're getting ready for fights. Our guys will help prep them for their fights. And do things like that. And then at the same time, it's like, I don't know what the number was. It 750,000 people or something that live in this area, right? The Central New York area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, something
Right,
like
yeah.
I don't know the exact number, but there's more than enough people to go around to build these gyms.
Yeah.
To have your gyms be the most successful gyms. At the same time, growing the community and just keep growing the sport and making Central New York a hub for striking. Like I want people to be one day to be like, hey, you want to be a good striker? You got to go up to the Central New York area, especially the Syracuse area.
Right.
Yeah.
And it could be anybody, not necessarily you. You prefer that.
Yeah, it'd be cool if it's us. But, I mean, if it's us and 10 other great schools.
But in general, it takes pride with these schools to be able to collaborate and not be so. Take competition out of it.
It's better for everybody.
There's friendly competition, and there's hey, we have to work together because if you climb to the top by stepping on everybody else and not helping, then at that point it's like you have nobody here to support you, right?
Yeah. And it's like if your school's here and you can't bring students from all the way across town to come to you. You're going to attract students in your area.
Yeah.
So if there's another school opens over there, they're not trying to steal your students. They're just, that demographic is being now fulfilled with another martial art.
Yeah, and I tell people all the time, there's so many different personalities and gyms and stuff like that. You might like the way I teach better. Great, come train with us. You might like the way the other gym teaches better. Go over there, You might like the more aggressive gyms that motivates you more. Find those guys,
Yeah.
That's why we can't just be like, hey, we're the end-all be-all gym to the area.
And people relocate. People move. People sell houses. People change jobs. They go to different spots. So.
Also, not every art is for everybody.
Yeah.
There's different body types. There's different personalities.
Yeah.
There's different comfort levels. There's some women who don't feel comfortable doing jiu-jitsu with men. So they want to do it with women.
Yeah.
So they might take a women's class only, There are guys who maybe don't want to be on the ground.
Yeah.
Or maybe there are guys who don't want to be kicked and punched with elbows, so they want to be on the ground. So it's just there's so many different arts that can fulfill different body types, different personalities, different comfort zones.
Absolutely.
And I think the collaboration is always best for everybody.
Yeah, yeah. Nobody's trying to steal your students.
Yeah.
If that's your goal is to prevent your students from leaving to go to other gyms, you're gonna lose your students.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Because then you're putting energy into trying to trap people. Right?
Yeah.
It almost sounds like you're trapping people. Like, hey, don't go there. You got to be loyal to me. But like, yeah, there's a sense of loyalty. There should be a little bit of sense of loyalty.
Yeah.
But there's not like, hey, you're stuck here. You can't go.
But then you're going to get this reputation as a guy who does that.
Yeah.
I mean, despite what people think, there's a lot of good people in the world. There's a lot of bad people.
Yeah.
But a lot of good people, I think, would understand that, don't deal with this guy. He's kind of an asshole. He's always stealing people. Like, you're going to have this sort of reputation.
Yeah.
But that's obviously not you, and that's what's working for you.
Yeah, we try to be a little bit more open to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah. And then obviously the first responder world, those guys are near and dear to my heart.
Sure.
So
That's
I like working with all of those guys because I think that the jobs that they do, they need so much jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai and that field to keep.
And being there, you know what they face
yeah, yeah.
with. So how do students contact you? Phone number, website, emails, social media,
Social security number.
Social
Whatever.
security numbers. My mother's maiden name.
passwords.
Our website, so8muaythai.com. Our Instagram, so8muaythai, and phone numbers 315-727-4279. Give us a call. Stop in, take a private session, take a class, and see if you're a good fit for you. If not, I know a bunch of other really great gyms I can point you towards.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. And we had somebody reach out to us when we posted your school, and they're like, "Oh, where's this? I've been trying to find someone." And I think you messaged her.
Yep. Yeah, directed. I got your cell phone number, sent it to him. So, yep.
Yeah.
So, Chong, it was nice to see you again.
Of course. Always a pleasure to be here with you.
Next time, be healthy and just
I know.
funnel. We're going to funnel.
Yeah, a little sick here, but next time we're chugging some beers.
Well, we
I'm
appreciate
looking
being
forward
here.
to having more time so I can come and train in the gym with you.
Yeah, please. Yeah. Roman helped put our back system up, so
Yeah.
appreciate
Everything's
this
good
guy.
still?
Everything's awesome. Thank you.
And
It's still there. Yeah.
the thing with the mats, nothing.
Oh,
shifted?
nothing's moved. Those Velcro stuff were
Oh,
amazing.
perfect.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everybody for listening to us and following on social media and listening to us on all the podcast platforms, including YouTube and hoptopnetwork.com. We still doing the giveaway at 4,000 followers on Instagram, so help us reach there. And until next time.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.